Dear learners, I'm Kritika, Faculty of History GS and History Optional. So now I would like to give a small glimpse about a very interesting topic which generally is being asked in UPSC if you look at prelims and mains as well. And this topic is one of the base topic, a very simple and elusive topic. So let's see the topic. The topic is the rise of Mahajanapadas. The rise of Mahajanapadas, or we can call it as the emergence of states in North India. The emergence of states in North India. So if you look at the topic, if you look at the chapter, this falls under chapter number 3. So the first chapter being Indus Valley Civilization, second chapter being the Vedic Age, the third chapter being Formation of States in North India or the rise of Mahajanapadas. And when you take the bracket, it's from 600 to 321 BC. So you need to understand the overall bracket. Indus Valley being from 2500 BC to 1900, flourishing period, 1900 to 1600, decline of the first chapter, Indus Valley. Second topic, Vedic Age, comes from 1600 to 600 BC. Now the third chapter starts from 600 to 321 BC. So clear? Now if you look at this chapter, as I told you, our first chapter is Indus Valley Civilization, the second one being Vedic Age. So Indus Valley Civilization runs from 2500 BC to 1900 BC, the peak period, ends around 1600 BC. So Vedic Age, we start from 1600 BC to 600 BC. Now, if you cut this Vedic Age, it is divided into two, as early Vedic period and later Vedic period. Early Vedic period is from 1600 to 1000 and later Vedic period is from 1000 to 600. Now you'll have a connection with our third chapter, Mahajanapadas 600 to, so you need to remember the bracket. So I'm taking this third chapter and I'll make you understand what is this Mahajanapadas, how did state formation happen in India. And when you exactly take this period, it falls in the 6th century BC. So India in the 6th century BC. So when you look at this early Vedic period was rural. Later Vedic period was semi-urban. When you take early Vedic period, they lived in communities. Aryans lived in community. When you take later Vedic period, they lived in societies. Now, why am I giving a connect here? Because communities give birth to society and societies give birth to state. So in history, you always have to understand the chart of how history moves on. So this is state formation in India. Now the next question is, what is a state? State is a political unit. State is a political unit which has 4 basic elements. If these 4 basic elements are found anywhere, we call that as a state. So what are those 4 basic elements? Number 1, it should have population. Number 2, it should have a defined territory. Number 3, it should have government. And number 4, it should have sovereignty. So if these 4 are found anywhere, we call that as a state. So in early Vedic period, we do not have defined territory and we do not have sovereignty. So clear? In later Vedic period, we don't have defined territory. In the third chapter, all these 4 were there. Since all these 4 basic elements were there, we call this as what? State formation in India. So that's our third chapter. So look at the bracket in history. You should never leave the bracket. Brackets are very important. Only then you can go with the chronological order. So I told you this is 6th century and we call this as Mahajanapada. So when I split this, Maha, big, Jana, kingdom, Pada, foot. So people moving on foot to a new big territory. It's called Mahajanapada. In short, I can tell you, Mahajanapada is nothing but states in India. So by the 6th century BC, or you can say by 600 BC, there were 16 Mahajanapadas in India. So there are 16 states in India. So you need to know them because it's predominantly scattered. So what are those 16 Mahajanapada? Number one, Anga. Number two, Asaka. Number three, Avanti. Number four, Gandhara. Number five, Kashi. Number six, Kuru. Number seven, Kamboja. Number eight, Chetia or Chedi. Number nine, Koshala. Number 10, Malla. Number 11, Matsya. Then Magadha. Then Surasena. Then we have Panchala. Then we have Surasena, Panchala. Then we have 13. We have Vajji. So the 16th one, hold on, we'll take it away. So now I'm giving some capital. Avanti, the capital Ujjain. Gandhara, the capital Takshila. Kashi, the capital Banaras. Kuru, the capital Indraprastha. Then coming on to Koshala, I had got two capital Shravasti and Ayodhya. Then Malla, we have two capital Pavapuri and we have Kushinagar. Kushinagar. So you need to learn these capital. Magadha, the early capital was Rajgir and the later capital was Patliputra. So Vajji, the capital Vaishali. So the 16th one, it's Vatsa. So these are the 16 Mahajanapadas. So what the capitals, what I have written, that is important. Ujjain is in Madhya Pradesh, Takshila is in Pakistan, Banaras is in UP, Indraprastha is our Delhi, Pavapuri is at Bihar, Kushinagar in UP, Vaishali, Bihar, Rajgir and Patliputra, Bihar. So as a student, you should know the name of the state, the capital of that particular state, and where is it located in today's state. So you need to know them. So ma'am, should I learn Chedi? No. Should I learn Surasena? No. See, Surasena capital is Mathura. But these things, to memorizing all of them will not make sense. Optional students should remember all of them. That's perfectly fine. So remember these are the 16 Mahajanapadas. And generally in history, what do? We focus on the important one. Among the 16 Mahajanapada, one was very prominent and we call that to be the super important kingdom, and that was none other than Magadha. So Magadha was the strongest, Magadha was the biggest. So the history of the 6th century revolves around Magadha. So let's see what happened in Magadha kingdom. How was Magadha divided? Who ruled Magadha? And where is Magadha located in today's state? Which state is collectively called as Magadha? So the next one we are moving on is the Magadha kingdom. So the same bracket will continue 600 to 321 BC. If you look at Magadha, today's West Bengal, today's Bihar, today's Jharkhand, today's Bangladesh, South Orissa. South Orissa is Kalinga, so we'll take, the northern Orissa, southern Orissa is the Kalinga, then a part of UP, a part of UP, and a small part of Assam. So part of UP and a small part of Assam. This is what is Magadha. So imagine how big Magadha is. That's why this is the partition of Bengal. The big Bengal which was partitioned is this one only. So this is Magadha. And when you look at the rivers, what are the rivers located here? When you look at the rivers, we have the great river, river Ganges. And we have a river, Brahmaputra. So don't you think this two rivers naturally gives Magadha the fertile element? So Magadha was a fertile kingdom. Magadha was a strong kingdom. Magadha was economically rich, economically viable because of these two rivers. So Ganges and its tributaries were running in Magadha. Say for example, when you look at Patliputra, Patliputra was on the confluence of three rivers, Ganges, Gandak, Son. So three river confluence. So imagine how wealthy Patliputra would be economically. And when you look at the third aspect of Magadha, Magadha was rich in, and Magadha had the Chota Nagpur plateau. So Chota Nagpur plateau was with Magadha. So imagine Chota Nagpur plateau, it was with iron deposits. So anyone who's got iron, they can manufacture weapons. Magadha had all sorts of weapons with them. They had excellent chariots, iron drawn chariots. They had lots of catapult. They had lots of chariots which had, which had mace attached to it. So Magadhans were excelling in their army. That is one of the reason why Magadha succeeded. It's because of its iron. So can we say geographically Magadha was fertile and Magadha was geographically blessed. One of the reasons for Magadha's victory was its geography. This Magadha kingdom, such a big Magadha kingdom, was divided into three dynasties. So Magadha was divided into three dynasties. So we are cutting the dynasties as number one. The first dynasty, it's called the Haryanka Dynasty. The second dynasty, it's called the Shishunaga Dynasty. And the third dynasty is called the Nanda Dynasty. It was during the Nandas, we had Alexander's invasion happening. So, in short, these three dynasties collectively, we call it as the Magadha kingdom. Like how we have Delhi Sultanate, we have slave dynasty, Khilji, Tughlaq, Sayyid, Lodi. The same way, Magadha kingdom has got the Haryanka, the Shishunaga, and the Nanda. Now, let's move on to the dynasties and see what exactly the rulers were. So, the first dynasty is the Haryanka dynasty. The Haryanka dynasty. Now let's go with the rulers. So the first ruler, we call him as Brihadratta. Brihadratta was the first ruler. So we call him as the founder. So Brihadratta, the founder of Haryanka dynasty. And there's no clear evidence about him. We don't have any clear evidence about him. But his capital was Rajgir. So Rajgir was the capital. And when you look at Rajgir, the capital Rajgir of Haryanka, Rajgir was naturally surrounded by, it was naturally surrounded by five hills. So getting it, my five hills were there surrounding Rajgir. So, the capital was established here. So, natural five big hills were surrounding Rajgir. So that was a great protection for Magadha, Haryanka. The second ruler, we call him as Bimbisara. So don't worry, ma'am, should I learn all the dates of all of them? No. If you remember 600 to 321, that's perfectly fine. So if you look at Bimbisara, we call him as the greatest ruler of Magadha. He was greatest ruler. He was very powerful, all powerful. He was highly ambitious and he was welfare oriented. So Bimbisara was welfare oriented. He was a very good person. And if you look at this Bimbisara, He was the contemporary of Buddha. Because parallelly we have what? Buddhism and Jainism coming up. So Bimbisara was a contemporary of Buddha. Now when you look at Bimbisara, what did Bimbisara do? He fortified Rajgir. He fortified Rajgir. So I told you, if you look at Rajgir, 5 hills were surrounding Rajgir. So what did Bimbisara do? He made huge wooden and stone walls, and he connected these gaps. These gaps were all connected with big boulders were all attached. Getting it wood and mud stone walls were actually there. He connected all of them and made it as what? A strong capital. So Rajgir became impregnable. No one could enter Rajgir. So who did this? It was done by Bimbisara. So he fortified Rajgir, and we use the term Rajgir was made impregnable. So Rajgir was made impregnable. So this is what he did with Rajgir. So such a great ruler he was. And he followed two policies of annexation. He followed two policies of annexation. Policy number one, matrimonial alliances. Policy number two, to wage aggressive wars. So he had a two policy of annexation. He first gave an invitation to all the Mahajanapadas, telling them, let's have a matrimonial alliance so that I can marry your sisters and daughters. By matrimonial alliances, example number one, he married Koshala Devi. So Koshala Devi was from the Koshala kingdom. He married Koshala Devi. She was from the Koshala kingdom. Yeah. So he married Koshala Devi from the Koshala kingdom. That was his first marriage. And this marriage was a very big marriage where he received Kashi Mahajanapata as a dowry. So Kashi Mahajanapata was already there. That's one of the Mahajanapata. If you look at it, Kashi, we've already written Kashi. It's a Mahajanapata. This Kashi was taken by Koshala. Koshala annexed Kashi, and Kashi is with them now. So after the ruler giving his sister Koshala Devi to Bimbisara, he gave Kashi as a dowry to Magadha. So Kashi is in UP, so one part of UP comes under Magadha. Such a big marriage it was. And the second one, he married a Lichavi princess called Chellana. Chellana was a Lichavi princess. So she was a Lichavi princess, and Lichavi is where they were like a small clan inside the Vajji Mahajanapata. Vajji, you've already written. So Vajji Mahajanapata, the capital Vaishali. In that, there was a very powerful clan called Lichavi. So Lichavi is, so she married, and this Chellana, she gave birth to a son. A son was born, and he was named Ajatashatru. So Ajatasattu was a son of Chellana and Bimbisara. Then after that, Bimbisara happened to have other matrimonial alliances by which he strengthened his position. He waged aggressive wars and he annexed many kingdoms. Say for example, from Gandhara to Asmaka, they all had friendly relationship with Bimbisara. But Bimbisara did try to break the power of Vatsa, Panchala, Anga, because Anga is in Bangladesh, Bihar, Champa, River Champa. So he annexed all of them. But one enemy kingdom of Bimbisara was Avanti. So Avanti with its capital at Ujjain. So this Avanti was not giving up, they were not giving up. Avanti and in Magadha was like India and Pakistan. Now this Avanti, its ruler was Chanda. Its ruler was Chanda Pratyoda. He was a ruler. So Bimbisara asked Chanda to surrender, but Avanti was resisting, and Avanti asked Magadha to surrender, which made both of them to fight with each other. So finally, Bimbisara got ready to fight Avanti. But when he got to know that, the Chanda was not well, during the preparations of war, Chanda was infected with jaundice. So when Bimbisara got to know that, the Avanti ruler Chanda was infected with jaundice, and Chanda requested Bimbisara to send his royal physician. So Bimbisara had a doctor. The doctor was called Jivaka. Jivaka, the royal physician of Magadha. And if you look at Jivaka, Jivaka was a student of the Takshila University. He was a student of Takshila University. Now Jivaka was sent to Avanti. He was sent to Ujjain to treat whom? To treat Chanda. So when he was sent to Ujjain to treat Chanda, Jivaka treated Chanda. Chanda was out of jaundice, and now Chanda was overwhelmed. And now Chanda entered into a matrimonial alliance with Bimbisara. So again, what happened? The policy number one will actually come called the policy of matrimonial alliance. So this is what how Bimbisara annexed all the kingdom and he began to expand. And it is said that Bimbisara, the next point, he met Buddha. So Bimbisara, he met Buddha at Rajgir and got some learnings, that is, and adopted to Buddhism. So he met Buddha at Rajgir and adopted Buddhism. So after taking Buddhism, Bimbisara felt little bit light because Buddha taught him meditation, Buddha taught him certain skills. So Bimbisara adopted them all and then it continued. Such a great ruler was Bimbisara, but he was troubled by his son Ajatasatru. Since Ajatasatru was troubling him frequently and continuously, Bimbisara thought, okay, let me coronate him. So what did Bimbisara do? He coronated his son Ajatasatru and made him as a successor and retired. So now who becomes a third ruler? A third ruler becomes Ajatasatru. So Brihadatta, Bimbisara, Ajatasatru. The moment Ajatasatru became the ruler, what did he do? Who was Ajatasatru? Son of Bimbisara. The moment he became the ruler, he imprisoned his father. He imprisoned his father. And later, what did he do? He killed him. So, Bimbisara died in the hands of his son, Ajatasatru. See, when a king, sitting king, kills his father, we use the term patricide. So when Bimbisara died, he was Ajatasatru's father. He was not a king, so he committed patricide. There is another term called regicide, Regicide. What is regicide? Regicide is killing a king. Getting it? So Ajatasatru did not kill a king. He killed his father. So we use a term that he committed patricide. Patricide is killing one's own father. If you look at Ajatasatru, he was an aggressive ruler. He was an aggressive ruler, annexed many kingdoms. Aggressive ruler and annexed many kingdoms. Say, for example, he broke the Vajji confederacy. Vajji was completely destroyed. It was very difficult to break the confederacies of Vajji because Vajjis were very strong confederacy. And I told you that Lichavis are inside Vajji. So he broke the Vajji confederacy and he completely, broke them completely and occupied Vaishali. So likewise, people scared Ajatasatru because he killed his own father. That was the power of Ajatasatru. What did Ajatasatru do? He constructed a new city. He constructed a new city and named the city as Patliputra. He's not shifting the capital. He named the city as Patliputra. And when you look at Patliputra, it's on the confluence of three rivers. That is Ganges, Gandak, and Son. It's on the confluence of three rivers. River Ganges, River Gandak, River Son. He beautified that city. And this Patliputra was fortified. He fortified it. See, rulers built cities. He tried to actually shift it, but he couldn't shift it because there were lots of internal trouble happening there. And he was the one, he met Buddha. So he was a contemporary of Buddha and Mahavir. So Ajatasattu he had the privilege to meet the two great teachers, reformers, today they are gods, Buddha and Mahavir. And he was very much influenced with Buddha. And Ajatasattu adopted Buddhism. He adopted Buddhism. Of course, Jainism was also flourishing there, but he did adopt Buddhism as well. That is why the next point of Ajatasattu is very important. Next point, in 483 BC, this year is important. Ajatasattu convened the first Buddhist council. He convened the first Buddhist council at Rajgir. So capital being Rajgir, that's why he convened it there in 483. And he called all the monks, great Buddhist monks like Ananda, Upali, they all gathered and the Buddhist scripture was written. The Sutta Pitaka, the Vinaya Pitaka was written in the first Buddhist council, which was held in 483 under the supervision of or under the presidentship of Ajatasattu. So later, after taking Buddhism, he became naturally good. All the kingdoms were under his control. Taxation and administration system was regulated. He had good ministers. So things went on like that. But history repeats itself. So Ajatasattu, he was killed by his son. He was killed by his son. His son was named Udayin. So again, it's like, power. Udayan wanted the throne. So Udayan once went and asked his father that he wanted to become the next ruler. When father, there's no retirement age for kingship. So in the tussle, what happened? Udayan killed Ajatasattu and again, he became the next ruler. So the fourth ruler of Haryanka Dynasty becomes Udayan. And I just told you now, when Ajatasattu killed Bimbisara, it's called patricide. Now here, killing a king. Udayan killed a king, so it's called regicide. And who was Udayan? Son of Ajatasattu. And what did Udayan do? He committed regicide. So what is regicide? Killing a king. So Udayan, son of Ajatasattu, he committed regicide. Regicide is killing of a king. Killing a king was called regicide. So one important thing what we see with Udayan is Udayan shifted the capital. Udayan shifted the capital to Patliputra. So from now on, Patliputra becomes the capital. And he also constructed a fort and all of them. And Udayan was a Jain. So Udayan was a very popular Jain. He also conducted, see, the kingdom was intact with all the rulers. If you look at Brihadrata, Bimbisara, Ajatasattu, Udayan, these four rulers, they were very strong. But this Udayan, he was killed. He was killed by his noble minister. He was killed by his noble who was named as Shishunaga. So Shishunaga, he wanted the throne. So he killed Udayan, by which the second dynasty comes into existence called the Shishunaga dynasty. So this is how, the flow of the kingdoms, the flow of the dynasty and the rulers come. Now, how do you see this for your prelims? If you come back to your prelims, when you have a look, when you look at the topics, what we've discussed in prelims, getting it? Yeah, just a second. Yeah. Now, getting back to the prelims part. If you look at the prelims part, you need to know the brackets here. The second thing, you need to know all of them. Say, for example, which among the following kingdoms had Ujjain as its capital? Getting it? See, Buddha died at Kushinagar, which is the capital of Malla. Mahavir died at Pavapuri, which is the capital of Malla. So, in prelims, you may get some questions like this. Say, for example, the northernmost Mahajanapada. The northernmost Mahajanapada, if you look at it in the map, it will be Cambodia, but we call Gandhara. The southernmost Mahajanapada, Asaka. The easternmost Mahajanapada is Anga, Bangladesh, Champa. The westernmost Mahajanapada is Avanti. So don't you think all these first four will be the north, east, south, west? Technically, Cambodia will be coming on the overall northwest. Overall northwest will be Cambodia because it's in Afghanistan. Cambodia, Afghanistan, even above. So you need to understand the location. In short, I can just give you a glimpse also. So if you can look at it, this is how the Mahajanapadas are scattered. You can even use your internet to have a look, but I'm just giving you an idea how the 16 Mahajanapadas were there. Could you see Cambodia is in the northwest, Gandhara northern, Anga the eastern, Avanti the western, and then the southern one, Assam. So this is how the map runs. So you can have a look with, in your map, you can just have a look. So for prelims, you need to understand this. For mains, what were the reasons for the success of Magadha? So for mains, if you answer it, Magadha had great rulers. I've given you 4 rulers. You can write about the geographic location. You can write about the strategic, how the rulers fought war with weapons, how matrimonial alliances. So the policies you can write. And you can also write that they had strategic capital. Because the first capital was Rajgir. And who shifted the first capital? Rajgir. Who shifted capital to Patliputra? It was Uday. So the strategic capitals also made them what? Impregnable. So for mains and prelims, when you try to understand and analyze, I think the topic gets easier. History is not that tough as you think. It's like how you study it with a chronology, you study it in a story format, and you study it in an orderly way. History becomes as easy as the subject is. Hope you got the topic. Thank you.